Hello lovely people, in today's video we're running through how hydration could be the key to your cycling performance. Let's get into the video. If you're into any kind of endurance sport, it's really important to understand how much you're sweating and how salty that sweat is. It is also important for your overall enjoyment of racing and training too. Often we find out the hard way on race day, we completely blow up or we just mess up our strategy altogether. But in this video, I'm going to give you some practical tips so that you can create your own fluid and hydration strategy. So the next time you take on that race or that training session, you can get the most out of yourself and go faster for longer. I knew that salt and electrolytes were important, but I had no idea how much to drink, how much sodium I should be taking, and how to put it all together to get the most out of every session. After moving to Spain, this is something I realized I really needed to improve because it was definitely affecting how I went about my daily training regime. The best first step into finding out all this information is to go and get a sweat test. A sweat test basically analyzes how much sodium you're losing in your sweat. So a few weeks ago I headed to the Overland running store to meet up with the Precision Fuel and Hydration team and to get my sweat analysed. But don't worry, I know what you're thinking, what if I don't have access to one of these sweat tests? Well, later in the video I'm going to give you some advice on how to find out if you're a salty sweater and, more importantly, what to do about it.
So we are basically going to make you sweat, but not in the normal way. I'm not going to make you run around the block, do a VO2 max test, you'll be pleased to hear. Basically we're going to strap some electrodes to you and just induce some sweat, all at rest. You can chill, we can chat.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So this is just deionized water. These on here. One, and this is number two. And then I'm gonna switch the machine on and you might feel a very light sensation. This is the one that's gonna be sweating. So we're just gonna make you sweat in a very concentrated area. We will then collect that sweat, run it through the machine and we'll get you a number.
All right, I'll just put my feet up. Relax. This was definitely much easier than I anticipated.
Cool, so you've just beeped, which means that we have induced enough sweat. And as maybe you'll see, when we take this one off, a very faint patch of sweat on your arm.
Look at me glistening.
This is how we're going to collect the sweat. Cool stuff. And then, as before, you can relax. Cool. Alright, so we have collected enough sweat now. There we go. And we're going to uncoil this. Nip that there, and you can take that off. We now have a nice sample of your sweat.
Yum.
Which you can keep. I'll let you keep that, that's free. Just going to push your sweat through the machine, and as you can see the numbers are kind of going up and down. I'm just going to run it through a few times and then we will leave it to settle midway. So the number here is for your millimoles, which is a useful number, but for us it's much easier to convert it into the sodium concentration per litre of sweat because it then allows us to really help you adapt your hydration plan. We can match it up to our products and we can really go into detail with the plan. Results are in. Let's have a look. So you lose 942 milligrams of sodium per litre of sweat. So this is our PF&H scale. You are pretty much bang on average. The average is 949 and you are 942. So
perfect.
Middle of the pack.
Great to be average.
Our founder Andy, for example, he has a very high sweat rate. He's way up the scale here, around 1,800, which means that he loses a lot of sodium per litre. It just shows how bespoke a hydration plan is for each individual. And actually, conveniently, we have Andy here and I'm going to bring him in and he is going to chat through your bespoke hydration plan.
Perfect.
So I'm going to hand this over to you to go through the results.
Is she a proper sweater?
Oh, she's bang average.
It's a good result.
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
It's good. This is one area where it's good to be average. The thing this test doesn't tell you is how much you sweat. and that's the other interesting part to this. For you, a concentration of about 1,000 milligrams a litre would be good. If it's cooler, or the rides are shorter, or you're not working as hard, you might have 1 in 2, 1 in 3 bottles like that. As it gets hotter, as it gets longer, you're going to drink more and more of that. There's still, even with these numbers in the data, there's a little bit of trial and error involved in dialing it in.
If you can't get a sweat test, there are some signs that suggest you might be a person who needs to add sodium into your hydration strategy. Do you notice that there's salt in your kit? Another one is that your sweat tastes salty, or that you can feel it stinging in any cuts or grazes that you might have. Feeling faint after exercise is another sign. If you have a decrease in blood volume because you're dehydrated, this can lead to faintness, dizziness, and just generally not feeling yourself. Suffering from muscle cramps can also be another sign, as well as just generally noticing how you feel and how you perform once the conditions start getting hot. Do you just completely blow up when it goes over 25 degrees C? And the final thing is that you're craving salty food. You want to add salt onto your food, and this is your body's way of telling you that you're low in sodium. These points on their own are probably not cause for concern, but if you're noticing 3 or 4 of them, or maybe even more, then it probably suggests you're a saltier than average sweater. So I'm going to throw it back to Andy now, and he's going to run through some recommendations based on that.
I would say playing around with being a bit more aggressive with sodium supplementation before you ride, during and afterwards is a really good idea, because if you know your body well, you'll soon feel if that's something that's helping. When it comes to getting extra sodium, you can get sodium from salt, so you can salt your food a bit more. I've ran this morning out here in the heat, and I was craving salt when I came back. And then that also has an added benefit, it makes you drink a bit more water because you get a bit thirsty, and that is your body using its natural instincts to regain fluid and electrolyte balance. So even with the science and the knowledge, you still have to listen to your body. Yes, preloading is good for most people. If you're doing a really long session, a really hard session, or you know it's going to be really hot, preloading is all about getting you to the start optimally hydrated. You have a strong electrolyte drink an hour before you go, and that's like a temporary boost, but it gets you to the line well hydrated. The frustration a lot of people find is there's no hard and fast rule. You can't say have 1 bottle of water and 1 of electrolyte, or all electrolyte, or all water. You have to learn what the ratio is for you, and even for me, that ratio is different on different days.
Amazing, thanks so much. So the key takeaway for me from all of this is that it's really important to have a think about it and to come up with a plan. But that being said, it's still vital to do your own experimentation when you do your training, so that when it comes to race day, you can have a great plan and get the most out of yourself. Precision Fuel and Hydration have an awesome free tool called the Fuel and Hydration Planner, so I'll leave a link to that below. Basically, it just gives you a clearer indication of the numbers you should be trying to hit for both your fuel and hydration. And if you're interested in any of their products, you can get 15% off with the code Keira15. I'm really excited to be partnering with Precision for my fueling and hydration going forward. So definitely, if you have any questions related to either of those topics, leave them in the comments down below and we can learn together. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, keep risking it for a biscuit. And I will see you in the next video. Love ya.
Dropping the wattage bombs.
Oh, mate.
Wow!